MLF Pro Circuit angler Clark Ream here with another episode of What's in the Box. You know, the last time I had a bag from Tackle Addict. I'm actually getting ready to leave here in a few minutes for the MLF Pro Circuit event at Smith Lake in Alabama. You know, it's a deep clearwater lake. Spotted bass are going to be a viable pattern to fish to go after. So a lot of the stuff I've got is for deep clear water. This box actually comes from Tackle Warehouse. It came in right as I'm about to leave out of here. And it's funny because it says Tennis Warehouse. I don't know if everybody knew that Tennis Warehouse or Tackle Warehouse owns Tennis Warehouse, and I think they own some bike part stores also, but a pretty big operation. So we are going to see what's in the box. All right. So the first thing I see that's in the box is some Z-Man Elastec long shots in the color of the deal. And it basically looks like some sort of trick worm. It's a 6-inch worm. You know, I think I've got the option to drop shot this, and because it's the Elastec, it's not going to come off the hook real easy. I think I can actually put it on a Ned head also and drag it on the bottom. Just like a regular Ned worm. You know, it's going to look kind of like a shaky head down there, but the Elastec plastic stands up, so it gives me a lot of opportunities of different ways to fish it. I've got some shaky heads that I think that'll work on as well. And again, that's in the deal, which is kind of like a green pumpkin, pearlescent blue color with some blue flake. You know, you've seen it in other videos where I like this color for a lot of things. Next pack I get is same worm in green pumpkin. I can't go wrong with that. I've only got one pack of each of these, and usually my policy is, you know, buy 2 of everything in case you run out, but I can always make an overnight order from a Tackle Warehouse or a 2-day order, or I can possibly find it at a local tackle store in that Jasper, Coleman, Alabama area. But it's the Elastec material as well, so it's going to last longer, and with 2 days of practice, if I'm catching them on that, then I can probably just, you know, preserve what I've got. I might be able to cut down the worm a little bit as I go to preserve it and have that longer, wispier worm if that's what I'm doing. And I also know some guys sponsored by Z-Man on tour, and if I have to go borrow some, I might be able to get some product from them. All right, the next thing is, again, the 2 of a kind. I've got Megabass Vision 110, and the color is called Crystal Shad. And it's actually got kind of a greenish back to it. It's translucent. Again, I got 2 of those. You know, the reason I bought this color is I threw a similar color last year when we were at Lake Martin. Kind of a greenish clear lake as well. Spotted bass seemed to really like it. Broke the bills off every one of them that I had, ruined them. So I needed 2 more of those to replace those in my box. You know, there's a good chance I'm going to tie that one on as well. I'm going to have probably 3 or 4 jerkbait rods sitting on the deck of the boat in practice, at least anyway. And this will probably be one of them that I have tied on. Again, continue with the jerkbaits. I've got 2 Vision 110 plus 1s, which is the deeper diving version. Jerkbait there, and the color is Sexy French Pearl. You know, this jerkbait's going to go deeper than that other one. You know, in that clear water, you know, I want it to get down a little bit deeper. Typically in clear water, fish are going to stay, you know, be staging a little bit deeper, especially spotted bass. One of the patterns I'm going to explore with that jerkbait is jerking docks, especially floating docks. You know, I'm going to go through, you throw it on the shady side in those clear water places. You don't even need to make a cast on the sunny side. Throw it on the shady side, jerk it pretty aggressively. A lot of times those fish will be suspended, but they're going to be relating to that shade and using the shade as the cover. I'll be able to cover water quickly, be a good way to find fish. I can probably take it and, you know, clip off the hooks a little bit. As long as I've got some sort of metal down there to actually work the bait. If you take the hooks off, it's not going to work the same as if you used it, you know, with the hooks on. But it might be I fold them over or something and see if I can get some followers in practice. You know, that'll be one pattern that I look at during the practice time period. All right, I'm going to pull out. I've got multiple packs here of senkos now. I'm going to Wacky rig a senko. It's one of my go-tos. I did a video you can see in my video playlist from Okeechobee. You've also seen a video that I made on how to rig a new way to rig a wacky worm, a wacky senko. You know, so I know that in this tournament there is an absolute possibility that I could just pick up a Senko and throw it the majority of the time, wacky rigging it around docks, skipping underneath docks. Again, the whole shade pattern depends on how lethargic the fish are. I have no problem throwing a Senko over 100 foot of water because a lot of the times those fish are going to be suspended on lakes like this. And if you wacky rig it and let it fall down, it's a slow, methodical pattern, but there's a lot of times you'll catch big spotted bass that are suspended. You know, hopefully I can use, you know, the active target and be able to target some of those fish, sit back, you know, 80 feet or so, throw that wacky Senko out there and let it just free fall with a nail weight in it, wacky style. Those fish will grab it. Your hookup and landing percentage is really good. I think in the past, last time, who was that? Cody Meyer actually caught him wacky rigging around some bridges. I know that Matt Airy caught some the last time we were there, wacky rigging around docks. It's just a basic staple anytime you're around a multi-species lake, you know, any sort of green pumpkin or things of that nature. Brent Ayler in, I think, 2012 won an FLW Tour event, you know, targeting, you know, big spotted bass, throwing a wacky rig, Senko, you know, and letting it go really deep. You know, so it's a pattern that definitely will be a player for a lot of guys. I can throw it up on shoals or on rocky, chunky areas, you know, and actually you can cover water pretty quick. People don't realize when you're wacky rigging these Senkos out there in the clear water, most of the bites are actually going to happen on the fall. So in the initial cast is what really matters in that clear water because those fish can see it a long ways as it's falling down. Most people have this idea that, you know, fish can see about what their visibility is in the water. But you also have to remember, as that bait's falling down and wiggling and stuff, it has a 360-degree range of a strike zone where those fish can come from any direction, and they're actually seeing it from a long ways away. So even if you're covering water with it, in deep water, I can make a cast over here. I know I've covered this zone around it, and then I can fire over here, and you can actually cover water a lot faster than people realize because of the visibility in that clear water where those fish will come that are suspended to come up and eat that bait. And you can actually see that when you're using that active target. Those fish come up as that bait's falling, and you can kind of gauge how fish are reacting because of stuff like that. The color that I got here is a new color that I haven't seen. It's watermelon moon dust. You know, it's similar to the Z-Man, the Deal. It's also, you know, Strike King's got one called Moon Dust, and it seems to be really good in clear water. It's like a watermelon. This one has more of a blue flake in it. It doesn't have as much of the pearl. I don't know if you can see this as good right here. So it kind of changes colors a bit. It's got a little purple and bluish flake. But I've got 3 or 4 packs of the 4-inch. I've got 3 or 4 packs of the 5-inch as well, you know, for different opportunities. And I just have to kind of gauge which one. Typically, if I can throw the 5-inch, I want to do that. It weighs a little bit more. It's easier to skip underneath docks. It also tends to generate a bigger bite, but if those fish get finicky, it might be I need to go to the 4-inch. I can also throw that on a Texas or on a shaky head or on a Ned rig. I've done that for success on this lake with both of those. All right, let's see what else we got. All right, we've got Gamakatsu crappie heads. So one of the patterns that's going to be a real viable deal at this tournament, and you're going to see a lot of guys doing it when you watch it live or in the process, you know, when it's on TV and everything else. You know, Kitech swim baits is going to be a major player. It's going to be one of those things, just like a shaky head, Ned rig, wacky Senko. It's going to be something that's on the deck of almost every angler's boat, especially if they're targeting spotted bass. And I'm always playing around with different heads, trying to figure out which ones I like. And you know, they make the 2.8 size, which is really small. And I haven't found a jig head that I really like with it, because if you have a jig head that's got too big of a hook, then it kind of impedes the action of the tail and it doesn't do right. So I'm going to play around with these crappie jig heads. You know, Gamakatsu makes, you know, usually some pretty good products, you know, really sharp hooks. This one seems to have, you know, a spring lock in it to hold your bait on there. But for really small swim baits, I think that's going to be good. If not, I'll use it doing some crappie guide trips out on Sam Rayburn and try it out. So just another option for me to play around with for finesse swim baits. And lastly in the box, I have Ned heads. You know, I've gone to where I'm throwing a lot of these tungsten ones, and the two companies that I've been using a lot of are Swagger Tungsten and Woo Tungsten. Now the difference in the two, from what I can tell, the Swagger has a stouter hook than the Woo does. And so if I'm, you know, I'm not breaking hooks on fish. Usually I break a hook after I've caught several fish, and then I use needle nose pliers to remove that hook out of the fish's mouth. You tend to torque a hook around a lot of times, it'll snap off or it'll bend out. You know, in fact, I don't really recall bending hooks out on very many fish in my life. Usually it's when we put trauma on it, when we're removing it from the fish's mouth, is whenever a hook will break. But the reason I'm going with these tungsten ones as opposed to the regular lead ones, and I do have lead ones in my boat, so don't misconstrue that. You know, the reason I have these is they fall really fast. And one of the things I've been doing at Rayburn, and you've seen it on a lot of my active target videos that I posted early on, is I'm fishing vertical with these. They get down quick. So I can put on, you know, a finesse TRD in some sort of shad pattern, and if I see a fish on the graph or on that active target, I can actually click the bail and it'll drop down really quick, faster than a spoon, faster than a lot of other things. And I just want it to get down there, and I can actually hold it then in front of that fish and lift up, lower it, shake it, do different things. Or I can have it get down on the bottom in deeper water a whole lot faster if I'm catching them on the bottom, you know, to give me more opportunities. So I've got some of the Woo Tungsten, which has a little bit finer wire hook, you know, for easier hook penetration. Doesn't take as much to set the hook. If I'm using lighter line, I'm probably gonna go with that one. The Swagger one, I'm gonna probably use it if I'm using a little bit beefier line, if I need to jack one. You know, so I kind of let the fish tell me what I'm gonna do, because if I lose a fish, typically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna figure out what components happened, what went wrong. You know, if you lose one, then you know, that's happenstance. You lose 2 or 3, I'm cutting that hook off, putting a new hook on, changing a rod, changing line, changing a bait, changing something, because there's some part of the components that isn't working right for you to be successful. Because ultimately you're gonna get bit on a lot of this stuff, but at the same time, it's gonna be what has the best hookup and landing percentages. And that's why I've got several different styles of Ned rigs here. I got the Woo, I got the Swagger, I've got the Z-Man Ned heads, I've got some off-brands, I've got the, I'm trying to remember what all I even put in my boat. I've got some True South ones, I've got, you know, the Outcast ones. I've got a ton of them, because I'm still playing around trying to figure out which one works for my style of fishing, whether it's the way I set the hook, you know, the way it feels, hookup and landing percentages, all of the above. You know, different sizes based off if I'm throwing the big TRD, or if I'm throwing the finesse TRD, or if I'm throwing, you know, even the giant ones. You know, so I've got a whole different array of Ned heads that I play around with, depending on, you know, what I'm doing, what the cover is, and everything else. So this is Clark Ream, getting ready to pull out for Smith Lake for the MLF Pro Circuit event. This is what's in the box from Tackle Warehouse on March 6, 2021.